How's it going, guys? This is Avollon, and welcome back to kind of Avalon's world. If you guys didn't see the end of the last episode, I recommend going and watching it to understand what's going on, because if you've seen any of the previous episodes, all of this isn't making any sense. If you watched last episode, it will, so I highly recommend going to watch it. I spent some time making that episode. But long story short, we are no longer on the original Avalon's world. We are on my old survival world that I played before I started Avalon's world and played on during my hiatus between I think 8 and 9. So, or at least, the hiatus between episode 8 and 9. This is the world I played on in that interim. So, I decided to do this because I kind of really missed this world. So, I spent almost 4 years on this world so far. So it means a lot to me because it's been around for so long, it's been through so many different critical moments in my life that this world has evolved along with me, to say the least. I decided that Avalon's world, I wanted to record a Minecraft series, but I didn't feel right starting and recording on this world with like 50 episodes of progress being done already. So we kind of merged Avalon's world with this one, and now it is referred to as Avalon's world. So, as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, or should I say the Queen of Dragons mentioned, she saved some of my builds here. So you can see our bees are here, our fountain, we have our bee farm, the honey farm, I always call it the bee farm. We've got our Avalon's World sign, we've got our ship there, which we built to call home, and other than that, I think we only have the pandas, and that's it. That's all that I brought over. I believe that's everything. I might be missing one thing. But there's a handful of projects in this world that are actually exactly the same, or almost exactly the same, from projects I did on Avalon's world. The witch farm over there is the exact same design. It's just slightly, looks slightly different, and we don't have a storage system up above. Our house is exactly the same house, except for the materials, and a little bit different on the inside. So a lot of the things are the same. We got two bees here, and this one has glass. I actually built the bee that you're seeing here first before building these ones, back when 1.15 first came out. So this is where I actually got this design from, and where I actually got the idea from, is from this world. So I was pulling so much inspiration from this world that I figured I'd just come back to it. You can also see in the background there's a building that looks kind of similar to our slime building from Avalon's world. It uses the exact same materials. Again, I pulled all of my inspiration from that build from this world. So a lot of things are from this world. So today we're going to be going over a world tour because you guys have never seen this world, except some of you. A very select few of you have seen it, and I've showed some of my real life friends this world occasionally. So we're going to start with what was built first. Our house here. Don't mind the cat up on the roof. I don't know how she got there. That's actually Emmy. If you guys remember, I think it was episode 22, the cow farm that we built, which again I have that on this world too. I went and got a cat and named it Emmy. That is the exact same type of cat, just different color. She's named Emmy too. But if we come inside here, you'll notice that things are pretty much almost identical except for the enchanting room here, because I built this house, the very first thing. It was the first thing I built. Sorry about the cats too. So this leads down to my storage room. We'll get to that eventually. The spare bedroom. We've got the hallway here, which I'm missing an armor stand. And then we got the bathroom here. There's a glitch in the world. I don't know if I can show you guys. Yeah, so along this chunk line, going all the way down, it deleted all the entities or something. I must have broken that armor stand by accident. So I lost a lot of the things in the first beginning days of 1.14, and I've never gone back into an old world save to get them back because it was a bug in the game, entities disappearing. So I lost a couple dogs and armor stands with really good armor on it. This is my bedroom. I've got a whole bunch of fancy stuff in here. It's relatively the same thing. I've got my dog dumping my cereal bowl back in the day. And yeah, so this house is almost exactly identical to the one we built on Avollon's World, because I pulled all of my inspiration from this, essentially, except we used different materials. Now this goes down to my storage room, and this elevator has gone through many iterations. We first used the translocation elevator, and then when that was removed, we just went to a staircase, and then once 1.13 came out, we used the bubble columns, and this is where it's been ever since, so that's pretty cool. Now this bottom part here has gone through a lot too. There's a lot of builds in this world that have a lot of history and have changed dramatically since the start of this world. It was started on June 30th of 2016, a day after my birthday, so it was kind of significant, and that's one of the reasons I remember it, because on my old world, I built a statue to, signify my birthday or something, and then immediately after the following day, I decided to start a new world, because, that makes sense. But this first little section here was my initial storage room, and we had chests lining every section here, and in the end here we have one of the shulker box loaders, which I've now converted into like a bulk storage system here, so all of these shulker boxes are filled up with whatever it says in them, and I have them color coordinated, so it's a place where I can store bulk items and whatnot. We then switched everything out because my storage was getting overfull, and I think I switched to this, just purely shulker boxes. It was a good system, but not for long term, because shulker boxes only hold 27 different items, and yeah, it would take a lot of shulker boxes to store all my items. Here we've got some excess tools, all of this. This is another thing that you can't get in the game anymore, is a mending infinity bow. And these are actually duped bows, because this is a bow that you can't get. So I don't feel too bad doing it back in the day, at least. This one was one of those fancy punch bows that you could use before fireworks existed to fly with the elytra. So these are, items we can't get anymore. And I do have the armor too. This armor I made when it was actually available, because I played this world when 1.14 first originally came out. Extra pickaxes, axes, and shovels. And over here is some armor stands. I mentioned I lost armor stands in that entity disappearing bug. This middle one housed my backup armor, which was a set of diamond and an elytra. So yeah, not fun stuff. So I apologize if I'm kind of rambling on. Like I said, there's a lot of history in this world, but if I don't do things quickly, and I don't tell you guys the history behind it, there's a lot of background to this world, and if we don't go quickly, we're gonna be here for like 5 episodes doing the world tour. So then we expanded this room here. We've got an AFK fish farm, which won't essentially break in 1.16, but we won't be able to get the treasure from it anymore. Some glazed terracotta, our dragon head, and a similar furnace array that we built in our actual storage room on Avollon's World. Exact same design, I think in the exact number of furnaces too, but you'll see later we got a better furnace array. Come over here, this is our storage room. We got walls of chests. Now if you remember in another episode, I mentioned I wanted to keep things spread out in Avollon's World, because in my other world I had everything centralized. Well, this is my central storage room that houses all of my witch farm drops, all of my slime drops, which are red slimes apparently, feathers from my chicken farm, potatoes, carrots, and wheat. I never hooked up an ink farm, and I won't, because we have the Wither Rose farm. Sugarcane farm, pumpkin, melon, and cactus farms all come into here. So later on in the tour, you guys will see all of the different farms, and they all actually feed into these chests. And these chests are like almost full, and once they get backed up, they'll just get deleted. This is the storage room that I went with, and it's a design built by Tango. It's automatic sorting, so you can throw the stuff in here and it goes through. I honestly don't know if it works anymore. I built this before 1.13, and I don't think I've ever used the automatic sorting system after that. I used it once to sort all my items, and that was it. So eventually, because we only have this much chest space left for expansion, eventually I might just rip out the redstone and go and expand the storage room like we did in our actual storage room in Avollon's world, because we had a lot more extra chests there for all the different blocks that are being added in 1.16, which is like 20,000 at this point. So yeah, this might get ripped out because there's so much room behind there for the redstone, and then even more yet too, so we could really make use of that. Here I've got different chests. I have chests spread throughout my world again where I can just throw in items and they'll come here, so if my inventory is a mess, which it normally is, I can just chuck the items in here and they'll come back to my storage room where I can sort them out later. So yeah, that's the storage room. Pretty fancy stuff. I really liked how it feels, how you come out here, come over out here, if I can speak right, and you overlook the main centralized storage room. I will admit, if I do expand it out, I will miss how that feels, so maybe I'll keep the walls and just have it be like a big open room in the back then, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. We're going to go up, but I will say, later on in the tour, I will show you how I get back into my storage room a different way. So, yeah, fancy stuff. This is just the house, and we're already like 10 minutes into the tour, so, you know, this is going to be quite a long video, but we've got a lot of places to see. And one thing I want to mention, I've got Otis, I got Milo here. You guys ever seen Milo and Otis? Eventually, I'd like to build a barn for those dudes. So, yeah, that'll be an upcoming project. We got an ender pearl dispenser over here. They get me ender pearls. We got a custom tree here that I built, and then I came back in 1.13 and added the bark blocks. Here is my doghouse, but like I mentioned before, the entity disappearing bug removed all of my dogs. So I used to have 6 dogs in here, all name tags with different color collars, and they all disappeared. So I've been slowly getting the dogs back, and I have a whole bunch of cats. So yeah, loud noises. I'll show you guys what this leads to later on in the episode, because that's a whole other thing. We got the concrete converter, which is the same design we used in Avollon's world. Got a bridge that led over to this little hole in the wall, and this was built pretty early on in like 2016, yet I did nothing with it until earlier this year. So this is going to eventually be my villager trading hall and villager breeder. This is the thing I was working on this world before starting back up on Avollon's world. So this will be one of our upcoming projects in the near future, and that's a project that's not finished. You see another bridge over there that just leads up to the beehive. Essentially, I needed a way to get over there, and the beehive was built in a mountain, and there's not too many mountains nearby, so it's up there. You guys seen that at the end of the last episode. We've got bamboo just randomly growing, and you will actually notice, I forgot to mention, we have a beacon grid. These aren't actually beacons that I got totally legitimately. Like I said, I duped in this world at one point, and I duped a whole bunch of wither skeleton skulls, so I killed the wither all those times for the beacon. I didn't dupe the beacons, but I've since now removed pretty much all of the dupes that I did. I will still keep these beacons, because I do plan on making a wither skeleton farm in the near future when another update comes out. But I did keep all the dragon eggs I duped, and the bows, I think, and I think that's about it. So I think I might have a handful of wither skeleton skulls left somewhere, which I'll get rid of, but we'll have to find those as time goes on. This is actually an old school AFK fish farm before this design broke, which I don't know which version that one broke in, but a nice little bit of nostalgia when we walking around here like that's an old fish farm. One of the other first projects I built besides my house. Here we got some horse stables. We got my horse Alaska and Jericho, which I never used. I can't tell you the last time I used horses. Here we got the enchanted library I built during the snapshots of 1.12 when they introduced concrete and glazed terracotta. And yeah, Eventually I'd like to make a bigger library because I have like 5 or 6 chests for expansion for enchantments, and I haven't done the crossbow enchantments in here yet. But eventually, once I get villager trading going, I'd like to get, one book, like not one book of every single enchantment. I'd like to get the enchantment on a book with nothing else on it, and get a whole bunch of them stocked up. So say if we want to make a fancy sword, or, we're building a zombie XP farm, we can make a really fancy smite sword and kind of do it from scratch the right way. So this was the first time I used concrete, really, and it's not the best. During the time I built this, I had a texture pack that changed the nether brick to black nether brick, and it looked a lot better. You will notice there's a stored, just combined sword and stone in one word. There's a stored here. This is using the hidden armor stands, which I had in Avollon's world, I've just never used, so we have that going around in this world too, which I've made use of, unlike in texture pack that changed the nether brick to black nether brick, and it looked a lot better. You will notice there's a stored, just combined sword and stone in one word. There's a stored here. This is using the hidden armor stands. Definitely not looking like a furnace array, but you can see a minecart hopper here going in the 4 chest. You put 20 stacks of items in here, and they smelt up super quickly. It uses the same furnace array that is used for the kelp farm from Cubfan's tutorial, just times 4, and it splits it off evenly. This is the fuel input line, so you can drop in fuel here, and then this is where all the drops come out. So you can see all the smooth sandstone. So this smelts up a whole bunch of blocks really quickly. And I actually really like how the building looks. This is one of my favorite buildings so far, with the base and just the thing. And we're actually going to use this design for the Guardian farm too. We're going to use like the pillars and roof design. So look forward to that in the near future, which after the world tour, that's not multiple, but it's going to be multiple episodes, we will go back and continue work on the Guardian farm, which is off that way, and it's exactly how we left it prior to episode 26. So if we come down here, we've got all these houses. They're just purely aesthetic. There's nothing in them. It's just kind of represent like mining houses, because here we got a mine in this crane, which I meant to build on Avollon's world, because it is another symbolic build for me. It's the second thing I built on this world, is my mining area. And we've got another portal and random patches of dirt, and these rails don't actually do anything. They're just to represent, a mine. So maybe I could transport something through the nether with minecart tracks, but there's nothing fancy going on there. The zombie stole my door, and this just leads down to a strip mine, which actually turned into a beacon mine, since the entire place is gridded up with beacons. We can just insta-mine everything. I'll show you guys the nether later on, because that's a whole nother project. Here we got more bamboo. I've added this recently because I like how bamboo looks just naturally in the world, so that's pretty cool. Here we got our cactus farm, which isn't as effective as the one we built in Avollon's world, but you don't really need all that much cactus. We're gonna go loop back around. One of the things I liked doing is connecting a whole bunch of different paths up in a whole bunch of different ways. So there's actually paths that will lead around here. This is our AFK fishing farm down below, so we get better rates. Everything connects up, basically, with paths somehow, some way. You can see like this one just comes and loops around. So down here, we have a little sign posted here that says boathouse, cactus farm, and netherwort farm, and actually it says it on this side, house. Even though I know where I'm going, I felt like it was pretty cool to do these little like markers. Here we got an old school nano farm, which doesn't work because slabs now let light through horizontally, and well, they're not vertical slabs, so no, it wouldn't work vertically, but this no longer works, but it's a nice little nod. And I just noticed this block is missing from there. I don't know how. I think like right behind here, yeah, our like furnace array or something is like right next to this thing now, so pretty fancy stuff there. using dark oak trees as an aesthetic here, and here we got the cocoa bean farm, which is the exact same design we used in episode 21. Over here we've got a boathouse, as you've seen on the sign marker. It's literally just a boathouse, and that's it. It's got no inside details, and nothing on the inside except a turtle and a boat. While we're out here, this is the Iron Phoenix, which was a iron farm for 1.12, and I don't know if it was actually working 1.11. I didn't try it. This thing was super crazy good. It's got villagers literally everywhere. I think, yeah, the dudes are still down here. But I didn't trade with these dudes, so they all don't have professions. So we can use these guys in our villager breeder and trading hall, essentially, because there's like 60 villagers there. And the villager down there, and yeah, there were crazy redstone contraptions going on. Because skeleton horse underwater. I really like the base here, though, and one of the reasons this is, one, still here because it stands as a monument. These iron farms will no longer work because they use beds now instead of doors, but we've got a lot of iron. We've got from this chest all the way down to there, filled with iron. Then we got some iron farms in our spawn trunks yet, so we've got a good supply of iron. Over here we've got our witch farm, which is the exact same design, however it's a little bit more fortified on the bottom, and this is our AFK point up here. I will fly up here though to show you that you can see these stone markings here on the underside of the water there. There was all land there. I removed the whole giant land mass, and you can actually see torches all along here and along there and a little bit along there. So that's what's active when we're around here and our area down there. So, going back down to our cactus farm, because there's a lot to look at here. One of the main things I like doing is terraforming around here. And there's actually two different types of swamps here. It's not actually two different types of swamps. It's just two different shades of a swamp. You can notice there's a slightly like brighter green versus the dull green here. So I made that like a marsh swamp with sugarcane, beetroots, and, you know, water all around. Looks good on the map, and I like how it looks here. So now we linked up to where we were over here. This is my netherwort farm, hence marked by the red nether brick and the white. I really like these block combinations, and this one is a significantly different design from what we used in Avollon's world. It is a lever-based design, so if I pull this lever, these pistons will retract the glowstone, water will come down, break all the netherwort, flow down there, and all the way come down here, so that you can just walk around, pick it all up, and replant it. Now, this was significantly slower before 1.13 because it would move along soul sand, and they would move on the soul sand, so the items would move slow, but since 1.13 changed water physics, they moved on top of it and they just zip down it. So this farm's actually pretty good. At no point do I walk on soul sand. I've used iron trapdoors here so I don't accidentally click on a trapdoor. Over here we got a little pond with some fishies in it, and then once 1.13 came out, we added the bamboo. Or was that 1.14? I honestly forget what yeah, 1.14 was the bamboo. I get these mixed up all the time. I don't know what got added in 1.13 and 1.14. Obviously it was Village and Pillage and Update Aquatic, but I don't know the exact specifics anymore. It's all a blur. We've, added the seagrass and the kelp once 1.13 came out, and the fishes, of course. We got the corals over there, and I do have a coral farm I'll show you guys later on. Over here we've got our prize room, which is where we keep all of our fancy valuables and everything, a whole bunch of rare items. This will become a block of netherite once we get it. And here you can actually see there is a armor stand with a trident just in a quartz block. We do have a trident farm on this world, and the armor stand is actually right there. So I thought it was pretty cool how it just sticks into a block, since those are kind of hard to get a hold of, if I can speak, because I've been speaking a lot recently. So I'm having troubles with my words. You can notice we have the dragon egg and an enchanted golden apple. It is the mango apple, so that's pretty cool. Coming over here, we're almost done with the central area. We've got the carrot and potato farms, which are using new updated designs. I never built old designs, so it's a good thing I didn't. This may not be the most efficient design, but it works and functions how I need it to. I've talked about the places where I could just dump items and they go back to my storage room. This is one. The other one is in my house. We've got our sugarcane farm here, and we can actually hear a zombie down there who picked up my sugarcane. And this uses a completely lossless design with a minecart. I think there's 40, yeah, minecart hopper. I think there's 48 different modules here. It's not the most efficient thing. Well, it's completely 100% efficient, but it's not the most, you know, insane thing like we did with our sugarcane farm, but it suits my needs. We did have an egg farm here because we were using pumpkin pie as our main food source, but then I deleted all the chickens. When I say deleted them, I didn't kill them. So that is decommissioned, but we got 3 double chests of eggs. Down here used to be the pumpkin farm until we built the new ones, and at this point now it is an AFK shack and a access point to get to the redstone for the new melon pumpkin farms. Because I used old designs from way back in the day for my sugarcane and melon and pumpkin farms that were horribly inefficient that I switched around. So you can see the melon and pumpkin towers, which are actually a really old design from Exuma all the way back from season 1 of Hermitcraft, like way back. And they still work, and I really like how they look, especially with the concrete. They're bright, vibrant colors, and they really just stick out. Like, it's a very bare basic farm. There's 64 pistons, I think, in total, so there's like 64 crops that can grow at once. So they're pretty significant, they look pretty cool, and they're really efficient. So if you guys want a really nice and easy melon and pumpkin farm, I recommend these. You just gotta hook it up to a hopper timer. They used to not work because at one point they changed, it was considered a bug. They changed that, like, in order for a pumpkin to grow, it needed an air block above it. Excuse me? Where did you spawn? This entire area is supposed to be lit up, so obviously it's not. They changed it where an air block had to be above the pumpkin in order for it to spawn, or, you know, grow. And then they eventually fixed that, and these farms worked again. Down here we got a graveyard, which I said I lost all of my animals in my doghouse, so I lost Sophie, Buddy, Maggie, Max, Rocky, Tina, and Leia. Alright, look at this. This is probably where they can spawn, because right there was 7. So eventually, maybe one day, I'll bring them back. Maybe just Leia, because she was actually in my house right next to my enchanting table. Other than that, I probably won't do the others because I can just rename them, and I don't want to go through all that. So we're already going on almost 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to wrap this up soon because I don't want it to be too longer than like 45 minutes. Here we got our map wall, which gets updated periodically, and you can see everything from up above. We did miss Emmy's monument up there. I'll have to show you guys that, and we have an entire section over here. We are currently right on that green dot, and we've seen only all this so far. And all of that. So we got all of this yet in our main central area, plus there is a completely underneath section, which I'll show you guys probably in the next episode, because I'll probably have to go in the spectator mode to get the best view, because there's a lot of things going on. You can see all the different hoppers and water channels connecting everything, which I think I actually used more water channels than hoppers to save on hoppers, because I didn't have an iron farm. That was great. So this is our map wall. Come over here through a little cave. You can see our wheat farm. I built this before 1.14, before villagers only worked in a certain radius of a composter. And yeah, so half this farm doesn't work, but yeah, it still stands and it still looks pretty cool, especially like the jungle wood as the roof with the gray concrete. You know, it isn't the most spectacular of buildings, but it looks and stands out pretty good. Another custom tree here, and here we've got our cow farm, which uses the exact same design as the one in Avollon's world. It's really loud, so I'm going to stand away from that. Funny thing is, this building here isn't actually the first and original design. I was AFK up in the witch farm, and a thunderstorm happened and actually struck this building and burnt it down, which is the only time in my existence of playing this game that I've ever had a building burn down due to lightning. The cow farm was completely fine, just the building around it burnt to a crisp, and I actually was alright with it. leaf blocks missing, because the farm is an odd based width, like most of the buildings I do, but somehow I built the building on an even base, so it was kind of off, and I kept it because I didn't do even builds all that much, but yeah, I was glad to fix it, more than happy to. Got a little dock here, more turtles. I got turtles over here and a whole bunch of different fish and everything, dolphins, which have just all disappeared. So I don't know where they went, but this swamp didn't have any of this vegetation. I've been slowly filling it up because it was made before 1.13, so we got that to do yet. If we come over here, we've got a sea pickle farm, or sea cucumbers, whatever you want to call them. There might be more efficient designs than this now, but this is the design I've been using, and we have these lanterns here using them. I don't know where they went. Portal leading back into the nether. We've got a guardian here, which if we stay quiet, will he make a sound? You guys probably can't hear that because my mob sounds are actually turned down, which is a friendly reminder that I need to turn that up. But we actually captured a guardian from the monument that you guys seen at the end of the last episode before it was converted into what we did in Avollon's world, and put him in there. So that guardian is a giant guardian. That makes sense. Makes no sense, but yeah, you can actually see him. He's right there. We got a little dock here, even though it's not a dock. I have no idea what it's for. Just kind of like a jump platform where you can jump off and fly with the elytra. More custom trees. Got a mini monument here, which we use to get seagrass. So that's pretty cool stuff. More ender pearl and firework dispensers. This one's ender pearls. The one down there is the fireworks, which we have spread out around the world. Here we've got nice little like palm tree type things. I like to do custom trees. I try to challenge myself a lot with what I can do, and I wasn't the greatest at custom trees, but I really like how these palm trees turned out. I used a certain pattern and then just varied it up very slightly. So they look pretty cool, especially with the cocoa beans, and they fit this area. Got a wither skeleton here, a nice little statue, you know, using the armor stand book. Here we've got the two tall flower farms, two tall flower farms, which are the exact same build, I think, from Avollon's world. This is where I got them from, and this is where I got the inspiration from. So yeah, you can see I pulled a lot of things from this world for Avollon's world. Got another one of these houses that we've used before, and it's kind of like a little no man's house with a campfire, just to use it to get more smoke in here. You can see this wall here is actually pretty cool. It separates the central area here, which I call this entire section here the central area, all of this, and then this little section here is like the northern island, because this is north, right? Yeah. So this little island, which isn't actually an island, is the northern island. The swampy bit up there with the pandas is like the swampland expansion or something, is what I called it. And this over here is the ruined area, even though it's got a giant factory in it. This wall looks pretty cool. I built it to kind of just, you know, break up the two different sections, because it's completely built up and then completely run down over here. Even though, you know, there's trees and a giant factory, we got rubble piles, and here's my tree farm where I grow my trees currently. You can see it's like just rubble spread up across the place, which I find really cool. Use a whole bunch of different blocks, and then I use concrete because the giant trees will actually change it in the podzol, which you can see it's kind of spread out past the border here. But to keep the map looking nice and not just a blur, it's, you know, all this gray contrasting with green, so it sticks out pretty good. And that green I don't think is the same color as grass on the map. Got more beacons. We've got another dispenser thing, which actually never got filled up. Got an egg over here, which is a giant turtle egg. We've got more rundown structures, which if I come up here, you can see we've got rundown structures here and over there. And we got like an old rundown stable here, which I've had like a lot of skeleton horses, so I needed a place to store them. So I built all these different like rundown structures to store skeleton horses, which kind of fits because skeleton horses are undead, and undead mobs are normally referred with dungeons and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. We got a little excavation site here. Don't know why I built this, but you know, it's like excavating the ground in a mine, and there's bones everywhere. pretty, you know, fancy stuff going on around here. Here we got a statue of, it's no longer my skin, but was my skin. This was built back in 2018. So, yeah, that was a while ago. And I have had planned to build that on Avollon's world, just never got around to it. This tower here, which I almost completely skipped, actually leads down to my spider farm. Nothing too fancy going on there. You know, it's just a, you know, mob spawner spider farm that doesn't really work all that well. Get some different bone structures. I'll get to that in a little bit because I actually designed that fully, except for the fancy thing underneath it. Here we've got a thing to celebrate 10 years of Minecraft, May 17th, 2019. So it's actually coming up 11 years soon. I built this and it just looks pretty cool on the map because if we look above, I actually have the 10-year logo on the top too, with the black creeper face, which I thought was pretty cool. Over here we've got the turtle farm, and this is a giant factory that I didn't need to build around a turtle farm, but I did. I used a whole bunch of terracotta and granite because I had these materials and like I want to challenge myself, use bricks, granite, and terracotta. Like I did with the slime farm, I built a giant factory, and this one's more like a factory. You know, we got some hard hats and some storage area, giant turtle face, and some, you know, crates here. These are all of our turtles. We just breed them. They are eggs, which you can see some right there. They grow up. Little babies are so tiny they fall in the thing, and then when they grow up, there's hoppers that collect their scoot, and unfortunately they suffocate. But, you know, we get our scoots, and I don't use this all too often because I don't have a use for ridiculous amounts of turtle scoots. So if we come up here, again, like I did with the slime farm factory building, I built like a little office up here, but this one's more detailed. It's got like a lunch room and 2 main desks. You can actually see my face looking in on the window, which I always found funny. And then we use the end rods as sort of like industrial lighting, which I thought was pretty cool. And actually a really good design for the end rods because it looks like LED light bulbs that they use in factories and whatnot. Come over here, we've got 1 built-up tower and 1 ruined tower. A little hole in the ground that, you know, some explosion caused. And the lore behind it is, like, this area was built up, but, like, some major mass event happened and kind of, like, destroyed this entire section of the civilization. So, it's slowly being built back up. This factory moved in, like, the owners of the factory came in, bought the land for super cheap, and started building the factory. They started excavating the nearby terrain, and it's slowly being built back up, but it's still kind of ruined. So that's kind of what the main theme is going for here. Like some war came in or happened, and, you know, lots of things happened. We'll get over to that in the next episode. Got a villager back here. He was a zombie villager, and I saved him, and I accidentally caused a raid because there was a bed in there at one point. So that was pretty funny. There's apparently a cave somewhere down there. I thought I lit those all up in this area. Here we've got a makeshift, not so functioning phantom farm. If I can ever get out. So all I do is I stand here and the phantoms will swoop in and I can like hit them with my sword if I ever need phantom membrane. This was built in honor of the final season of Game of Thrones before it aired on TV. So I didn't know how bad it was. It's, you know, it still kind of signifies the rest of Game of Thrones. If you don't know what this is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a dragon, and it's supposed to be one of the dragons from the show. I didn't build it exactly to scale, because I'm pretty sure the dragons are much bigger than this compared to a person, but I designed this, so I'm actually pretty happy with how it looks, especially on the map. You know, you got the wings, and I like the angles that I used, you got the tail back there. I actually just really think it's a really nice design. Obviously, the dragon wasn't made out of wood, but we have all of the concrete and magma blocks here, and we used more armor stands with the little blaze powder bits here to kind of make it seem like it was on fire. One thing that sucks about this is, I don't know if they changed it, but you can see the light level is very low here. So I don't know if I have to go around and swap everything out, but magma blocks used to hold the light level, which is why there's so many of them around here, but they don't do that anymore. apparently. So this entire thing is like dark at night. So mobs spawn like crazy because they don't spawn anywhere else. But there's actually a button here that says, in honor of Game of Thrones, the final season. It's actually a note block song of a little bit of the intro. I found it on YouTube and made it. It was, I don't know if the tutorial is out there or something, or if I had to do a world download and figure it out. It wasn't easy, and this is like one of the only times I've used note blocks in the past like 10 years. So yeah, we've made use of that, and that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite builds. I had originally intended to do some sort of big Game of Thrones project on Avollon's world, but then I went on hiatus. That tree's missing leaf blocks too. It's actually missing a lot. And fires these days, dude. I'll come up here and show you Emmy's memorial real quick, and then I think we'll end this episode here. So this is just a monument that stands for Emmy. She died on December 23rd of last year, and we kind of just have a little monument here, and I'll show you guys in the next episode. You can kind of see the little brown ears. There's a monument for my other cat, which passed away last year too. So what I'm going to do eventually, you've seen in my house, there's maps that have like pictures of my dog, and there was one with Star Wars characters. The one specifically of my dog is an actual picture converted into a Minecraft map image, and it's not an actual thing I've built on the world, but because that would take such a long time and I want to get it right, and I wanted to get the monument right, you'll see in the next episode, the Penny one over there, which my other cat's name was Penny, actually has 4 maps on the monument of pictures that I've taken in real life, so I still need to do that for Emmy. I get some images here, so maybe we'll do that in like a cleaning up episode where we kind of just do a whole bunch of odd jobs. But from that, we have basically the entire ruined and central area done. We got a whole bunch of different projects spread out across the world yet, which I actually didn't have a lot of projects spread out in the world prior to 1.13. That was one of my main goals after 1.13, was to kind of spread out and, you know, have different bases here and there. So we got a village now. We've got Avollon's village in the jungle, which was mentioned at the end of the last episode. And then we've got like a trident farm and a coral farm somewhere. So that, if I can speak, again, I've been talking for a while, is where I'm going to end today's episode. The next one should come out immediately the day after this one, so look forward to that if you guys are, you know, excited about this world and whatnot. There's still a lot to see, and we haven't even touched the nether or the end, which I've done a couple things in both of those dimensions. So, without further ado, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I know it was a really long episode and a lot of talking and a lot of, you know, learning and, you know, stuff, understanding and everything. It's a brand new world for you guys, but it is my home for me. So, you know, everything here has very much a lot of symbolic value. We didn't actually touch this project, and you can see over there, there's a similar style building over there. We'll do that immediately first at the beginning of the next episode. That's one of my favorite projects too. I forgot about that. Can't forget about that. I have to do spectator mode though, because that's all underground. So, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, because schedule is still out of whack. So, you know, kind of just releasing episodes as I get them done. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Really lets me know that you guys enjoy the content and gives me a nice little motivational boost. And without further ado, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. There's a zombie villager there. Farewell.